Okay, on part 22, we left off with Lauren Arnold's interview with CBI. So going straight into part 23, we were going to have an investigative supplement report, and the report date was September the 7th, 2018, and the description is a social media post, Aubrey Shepard. It was Stacy Galbraith that was the reporting law enforcement officer, and the synopsis reads, there was an online social media post located by CBI agent Jillian Ganley on September the 6th, 2018 in reference to this case, which Aubrey Shepard posted on August the 29th at 2017 hours, and that would be 8:17 p.m. Now I want to mention right here that you may hear little taps like you just heard. I hope you didn't. Maybe my mic's cutting most of it out. But it is my little dogs, and I have hardwood floors, and they'll jump out of my lap just like that onto the floor, and they just get really restless around this time of the evening. So they're just back and forth. And then I even have one, and it's like a Dieter. He's like a little Dachshund, and it seems like every time he turns around he just has to shake his head, and his little ears will just kind of flop, 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 and they hit each other and make the most awful sound, really. And he does that quite often. So in case you hear any of that kind of stuff, that is what you're hearing. So sorry about that, but they just do their thing, especially this time in the evening. They get really restless. It's almost supper time, so they're getting very restless. Yeah. Okay, it says, I met Chris and Shanann on a popular adult site back in February. I had sex with both of them on 3 different occasions in a 2-month period. I think Chris talked her into trying the swinger lifestyle, but she wasn't that into it. She definitely would have put the brakes on any extramarital activity now that she is pregnant. I think this is part of the reason he snapped. Annalise Ganley was unable to readily identify the author. And then it goes to show the Facebook page and says, it appears the account may have been created for the sole purpose of posting the comment listed above. Frederick Police Department Detective Baumhover was contacted and information about the inability to identify the officer. The author. No further action taken. Post and Facebook screenshot is attached. No narrative is associated with this report. Subject's name was Aubrey Shepard. That is a very odd thing. There again, it could have been someone just looking for 5 minutes of fame, or it could have been someone that somebody asked, hey, will you make a fake profile and just put this post out there? Or it could have been true, but I highly doubt it. I do not believe it. I believe it was either some sort of 5 minutes of fame or some sort of cover-up or something to that effect, but I do not believe that ever happened. I cannot even see Shanann being a swinger at all. I just can't even visualize that. It just, no, I won't buy that at all. It does make me curious, though, about who did this. I do wish that Facebook had been contacted, which would have been simple, given you being the authority, and you could have gotten the search warrants or whatnot, whatever. And I do wish that IP address had been traced to see where this account was actually made and when it was made, and so on and so forth. Okay, moving right along. Okay, here we have another investigative supplement. This report date, September the 7th. The description is a false report of a relationship with Chris Watts by Laura McEver. The synopsis reads, contacted Laura McEver about Facebook posting in which she claims a relationship with Chris Watts. McEver confirmed the posting was fake, and she is a 40-year-old female. Narrative begins on the following page. Synopsis. On Friday, September the 7th, ICBI field agent Greg Zinter contacted Laura McEver on the phone in connection to a Facebook posting in which she claims she had a relationship with Chris Watts. Action taken. On Friday, September the 7th, 2018, I investigated a Facebook posting in which someone with the name of Laura Forsyth claims she had a relationship with Chris Watts. The Facebook posting read, quote, Chris and I met at the local tavern a few times. We acted like teenagers in the back of his truck. He made me feel like I was the only one, unquote. The posting was under the name of Laura Forsyth, Chris Watts' accused killer of Shanann Watts and children. CBI analyst Jillian Ganley was able to locate a phone number connected to this Facebook account, and the phone number connected to Laura McEver. I contacted McEver via telephone and identified myself as a member of the CBI, and I was investigating the Watts homicide case. I asked her about the Facebook posting. McEver confirmed the posting was fake, and she did it to try to prove a point that other people have nothing better to do than talk about what other people put on Facebook. I informed McEver she had wasted the investigators' time and resources trying to track her down to confirm if her claim was true, and she hung up the phone. Nothing further. Greg Zinter. Attachments. Image of the Facebook posting under Laura Forsyth. Image of fake Facebook posting in which Laura Forsyth claims the posting was fake. See, and what these people are failing to understand and realize is when they're trying to go after their 5 minutes of fame, and the exact same goes for Trent Bolte. Well, they seen on TV, on the news reports and this and that Chris did drive a truck. So they continued to use the truck as part of their story. Here's the thing. If you really knew Chris and Shanann, then you know that his truck has a GPS. And you know, had these things actually occurred that all of these people are saying, including Trent, that the GPS would have been picked up on his truck. So obviously, they really don't even know them. They really don't even know the case. Because I'm sure almost anybody that knew Chris and Shanann knew that his truck was actually a work truck he was leasing through Anadarko, and it did have the GPS on it. So they would know for a fact if their claims were true or not. So yeah, this is obviously clueless people looking for 5 minutes of fame, or there's some other reason they're doing this. I don't know. Okay, we're going to go on down to another investigative supplement. This report date is September the 7th, 2018. The description is transcripts of interviews 3 with Nicole Kessinger on August the 16th, 17th, and 21st of 2018. The occurrence was from August the 29th until September the 7th. The reporting law enforcement officer was Kevin Kovac, and the synopsis reads, on August the 29th, 2018, ICBI agent Kevin Kovac requested the attached interviews to be transcribed. On September the 7th, 2018, I received the transcripts, reviewed them for accuracy, and they were attached to this report. Nothing further. Okay, another supplement investigative report from September the 7th. Text messages from Nicole Kessinger on September the 6th. Synopsis. On September the 6th, 2018, ICBI agent Kevin Kopak received the attached text messages from Nicole Kessinger regarding a law enforcement official attempt to reach out to Charlotte Nelson. See attached messages for further. Okay. Going on down, another investigative supplement. Report date 9/11/2018. And the description is going to be an interview with Amber Falbo, receiving threats on Facebook that she was the other woman. The synopsis reads, received an information report from the Inglewood Police Department. Amber Falbo works at Anadarko in the downtown office. She has never met Chris Watts. She is the subject of Facebook accusations that she is the other woman in Chris Watts' life. The synopsis on Tuesday, September the 11th, CBI agent Greg Zinter received an information report from the Inglewood Police Department about Amber Falbo's possible interaction with Chris Watts. I interviewed Falbo via telephone. Action taken. On Tuesday, September the 11th, 2018, I received an information report from EPD about Amber Falbo's possible interaction with Chris Watts. I contacted Falbo by telephone and inquired about her knowledge of Watts. Falbo said she works at Anadarko in the downtown Denver office. Falbo said she has never seen or met Watts. They just happen to work for the same company. Falbo said recently she has been targeted on Facebook by several people accusing her of being the other woman in Watts' life and wrecking the Watts family. Falbo said these comments were made on private Facebook sites. The only reason she knew about them was because Anadarko has hired a third party to monitor all social media related to the Watts case and any connection to Anadarko. Falbo said she tried to make a police report to the EPD, but she said they didn't seem interested in taking a report. Falbo said the EPD told her the threats did not rise to the level of a crime. Falbo said someone put her address on the Facebook postings along with her phone number. Falbo said she is concerned that someone may try to contact her in connection to the Watts homicide case. This information was forwarded to the Weld County District Attorney's Office for tracking. Nothing further. So Anadarko, shortly after the Watts case, for whatever reasons, they hired a third party to monitor all social media that related to the Watts case. That's very interesting. Really it is. I mean, I can totally see that law enforcement may, or should have actually, hired a third party to monitor social medias and this, that, and the other on anything pertaining to this case. However, with Anadarko coming and hiring their own personal third party to monitor all social media related to the case, seems to me a bit odd. Why would Anadarko do that? I mean, it really just seems odd to me, and maybe I'm just stepping out of line there, but it really does. I mean, let's just throw an example out there, and I don't know if this has ever happened. It's possible, but just saying, someone worked at, say, I don't know, McDonald's, and this man goes home and he kills his family, and then his family is all found behind McDonald's in trash cans, dumpsters, whatever. His family is found disposed of at his workplace. I can see law enforcement monitoring his social media activity, and maybe he was having an affair with the girl that worked at McDonald's. We'll just go on to that route. I can see law enforcement doing that, but I really don't see why McDonald's would do it, and I don't think they would, because all that kind of monitoring and investigating and all the such, all of that should be turned over to law enforcement to do, correct? I mean, that is their job, to investigate and monitor things. Well, it seems like Anadarko, in this case, decided to step in front of law enforcement and do their own investigating and monitoring of Chris. To me, that just seems odd now. You may not think it does, but to me it does. And I know this is something that you really don't hear talked about out there. Maybe a lot of you didn't even know that Anadarko hired this third party to keep track of everything that was happening in Chris's life on social media or anything said about him or whatever. Maybe you didn't even know that. This is the first you've heard of it. But when you deeply think on it, it is kind of odd, isn't it? Or is it just me overthinking it? I think law enforcement should have done that, not Anadarko. Okay, going on down. Another investigative supplement report. Date, September the 13th. Warning, contains entities exempt from disclosure. Description, CBI crime scene report. Occurrence from August the 13th until August the 21st. That is 8 days. And we know they didn't actually even turn the home over as a crime scene until Chris was arrested on 8/15. Actually, it would have run into 8/16 because he wasn't actually arrested until 11:30 p.m. So just saying 8/16. 5 days. 5 days. That is it. Now, I know where I live when I see these homes, and there's not many. Haven't saw one in years, but there was one a few years ago. And the house was marked off as a crime scene because there was an elderly man that was killed inside the home. They immediately marked the home off as crime scene, of course, but it was more than 5 days. That house sat with the crime scene tape on it, I know, for a couple of months. No kidding. 5 days is all this was. And the synopsis reads, crime scene report from CBI agent Dave Yoakum. No report associated with the supplement. Only attachment of the crime scene report. And the crime scene, of course, is 2825 Saratoga Trail. Victim number 1, Bella. Victim number 2, Celeste. Victim number 3, Shanann Watts. Suspect number 1, Christopher Watts. And then it gives the officers' names. And moving on down, this is going to be a tip entry date of August the 27th at 10:34 a.m. The call taker was Jillian Ganley. She's CBI of Denver. The brief description was endangered missing alert from Frederick Police Department. The occurred date was on August the 14th at 11:28 a.m. The missing person, the status date, 8/27/2018. Synopsis reads, on Tuesday, August the 14th, 2018, I reached out to Detective Baumover at the Frederick Police Department regarding a missing persons poster they had put out. The situation was discussed, and it was decided that an endangered missing alert would be most appropriate. The alert was issued on 8/14/2018 at 3:20 p.m. The alert was canceled on 8/16 at 8:33 p.m. The follow-up comment says on Tuesday, August the 14th, at around 11:28 a.m., I received an email from Davin Rhodes at the CIAC. He included a news article about a missing woman and her 2 children in Frederick, Colorado. He wanted to know if we had seen it and if we were doing anything about it. I told him I had not, but that I would check in with the agency to see if we could be of assistance. Rhodes stated he had not received any request from the Frederick Police Department. At 11:44 a.m., I called this number, which was the number provided on the missing persons flyer, and asked to speak with Detective Dave Baumover. I told him that I had seen the missing person poster and wondered if he considered doing any kind of alert. He stated that he was pretty overwhelmed and asked if he could run the whole situation past me to see if there was anything CBI could do to help. The facts at the time were these. A 34-year-old female, Shanann, and her two daughters, Bella and Celeste, 4 and 3, were missing. Shanann had been on a trip to Arizona for the weekend, and the two girls had been home with their dad, Christopher Watts. Shanann had returned to the house at around 1:48 a.m. on Monday, August the 13th, as confirmed by the reporter Nicole Atkinson. Nicole had been on the trip to Arizona with Shanann, and she had driven Shanann home from the airport. She confirmed she saw Shanann go into the house at around 1:48 a.m., and that was the last time Nicole had seen or heard from Shanann. The next day, Nicole attempted to contact Shanann several times, but never received a response. This was very unlike Shanann, who in general was very responsive. Nicole went to the Watts residence to check on Shanann later that morning. She saw that Shanann's car was still in the garage, and her favorite flip-flops were by the door. This was very alarming to Nicole. Nicole knew Shanann was scheduled to be at a doctor's appointment that morning, so Nicole went there to check. She was told by the doctor's office that Shanann had not shown up. Nicole then became very worried and contacted Shanann's husband, Chris. Chris stated that he had not heard from Shanann that morning. Nicole stated that she could tell something was wrong and that Chris needed to come home from work immediately. Nicole then called the Frederick Police Department to report a missing person. Frederick police arrived at the residence at 1:36 p.m. to do a welfare check. Now I need to stop there because something there just caught my attention, and this definitely is what Detective Baumover told CBI in Denver. He said that Nicole called to report a missing person and that they went out to do a wellness check. So if it was originally written as a missing person, well, that just doesn't make sense, because at the time she called, she did not know if Shanann was in the home or not. I mean, she couldn't get her to the door, obviously. She didn't make her doctor's appointment. We know all the obvious. At the same time, how did they know at that point, when she called, that it was going to be a missing persons report? Obviously, they didn't tag it down as a missing person because they went to the home to do a wellness check. But it does say that Nicole called to report a missing person. Police arrived around the same time that Chris arrived at the house. Well, it was around, but not exactly the same time. Officers entered the house with Chris's permission and swept the residence. They found that all of Shanann's personal items were left in the house, to include her car keys, her wallet, and her medication. The girls' medication and car seats were left at the house as well. Upon further search, her phone was found at the residence. Chris informed police that at around 4 a.m. he had told Shanann that he wanted a separation. Because of the unusual circumstances, the Frederick Police Department decided to fly drones over the open space around the Watts and had cadaver dogs go through the house. According to Detective Baumover, the dogs had just hit on an area near the basement stairs a few times before I had called. He stated that an additional dog was on his way to confirm that hit. Now see, he only mentions about the basement stairs, and the dog did hit there. They did call in the second dog to confirm the hit, but yes, there was a dog that hit the bottom of the stairs in the basement. After learning of all the facts, I relayed to him that I thought an endangered missing alert may be appropriate, but that I needed to confer with the supervisor. He then informed me that the Frederick Police Department was running out of resources, and he wondered if we could provide any investigative assistance as well. I informed him that we would be happy to send a couple of agents to the scene to assist. I informed him I would check with my supervisor regarding the potential alert and would get back to him. I also told him that in the meantime, agents would respond to assist. He thanked me for reaching out and agreed to talk soon. Next, I went to relay the situation to Assistant Director Valls and asked for his help rounding up several agents to send to Frederick. He agreed with my plan and left to touch base with Detective Baumhover and to assign agents to the case. I then ran the whole situation past my supervisor, Audrey Simpkins. I stated that the preferences regarding the alert would be to wait until they completed the second sweep of the house with the dogs. If they did confirm the hit, I would prefer not to issue, given that the hit would indicate one or more members of the family was no longer alive and was not actively missing and in danger. If the hit could not be confirmed, we would issue the alert. Supervisory Analysis Simpkins agreed with this plan and did assist Director Valls. Next, I contacted Agent in Charge Kirby Lewis to inform him of the situation, just to keep him apprised. He also agreed with the plan and stated that he would do all he could to help. I informed Detective Baumhover of this plan and of the fact that several agents were en route to assist. I then prepared an endangered missing bulletin just in case and proceeded with normal business. At around 2:33 p.m., I heard from Agent Tammy Lee, who stated that the dog's hit was not substantiated with the second dog and requested that the alert be sent out. I sent out the endangered missing alert at 3:20 p.m. Over the next hour, I received several calls from Agent Tammy Lee and Agent Kevin Kovac requesting that I run background on all individuals involved. See 2018-27338 for further details of the analysis work done on this case. This alert was canceled on 8/16 at 8:33 p.m. And this is going to be the actual endangered missing advisory report. It says, broadcasters, this is a request for your voluntary cooperation in airing the following information either as an alert message or in your next newscast until you receive a cancellation form. The EAS will not be activated for this alert. Status activation new information. Requesting agency Frederick Police Department. Officer's name Detective Baumhover. Weld County Communications Center. Child 1, Bella. Child 2, Celeste. And then Shanann. And it goes on to read that on Monday, August the 13th, 2018 at 1:30 p.m., and that would be when Nicole Atkinson called. I'm sorry about my cat, y'all. I call her Karen. I have two. Karen 1 and Karen 2. And they really, really don't like each other. Okay, circumstances. Shanann Watts and her two daughters, 3 and 4-year-old, were last seen on Monday, August the 13th, 2018 in Frederick, Colorado. Shanann is 15 weeks pregnant. There is no vehicle associated at this time. If you have questions or information about this missing person media alert, please contact the requesting law enforcement agency. And then it has CBI's phone number and website address. And it is dated December the 8th, 2014. I'm not sure why. Okay, going on down, and you're going to see another one. Same thing, except deactivation. Broadcasters. This is a request for your voluntary cooperation airing the following information, either as an alert message or in your next newscast until you receive a cancellation form. Status, deactivation. New information. Shanann, Bella, and Celeste have been located. And of course, it shows their pictures and information again. Circumstances. And it is going to be the exact same thing we read just now. And again, it's dated December the 8th, 2014. Okay, and going on down, this is going to show the defendant's name, Chris Watts. It's a PDF file list of different attachments. And this report was generated on September the 21st, 2018. And moving on down, Colorado Bureau of Investigation, Forensic Services Division. Lab case number, CSM, David Maloney, CSA, David Yoakum. Date of report, September the 13th, 2018. Date of offense, August the 13th, 2018. Okay, now keep in mind this report was made on September the 13th. Okay, and the weather was clear and dry that day. The victims, Shanann, Bella, Celeste, and suspect, Chris. Item, CSI, report and photos. The narrative reads, the initial information. On Tuesday, August the 14th at approximately 2300 hours, CBI crime scene analyst D. Yoakum was contacted by CBI crime scene manager David Maloney and requested to respond to 2825 Saratoga Trail in Frederick, Colorado at 6 a.m. on Wednesday, August the 15th, to assist with the processing of a residence in which 3 family members had been reported missing by their family and friends. After the Saratoga Trail scene was processed, I notified at 16:30 hours on August the 15th by CSM Maloney to respond to a remote location in Rogan, Colorado to process the scene where the missing person had been allegedly taken to and disposed of. Okay, now let's look at that one little paragraph. Really good. After the Saratoga Trail scene was processed, I was notified at 16:30 hours on August the 15th. 16:30 hours would be 4:30 p.m. Okay, at 4:30 p.m., Chris had not even finished his polygraph. He wasn't even arrested until 11:30 p.m. on August the 15th. So keep that in mind when I finish this paragraph. So at 4:30 p.m., August the 15th, Maloney was asked to respond to a remote location in Rogan, Colorado to process the scene where the missing person had been allegedly taken to and disposed of. So how was he already told at 4:30 p.m.? And allegedly, obviously, means someone had told him that, right? And the word allegedly does mean someone told them that the missing persons had been taken to this location in Rogan, Colorado, which is Survey 319, of course, and disposed of. He got this information at 4:30 p.m. That is before Chris ever told them anything about where the family was. We know they had drones out there, but allegedly means hearsay. Somebody told them that is where he had taken the bodies and disposed of them at 4:30 p.m. Who done that? who allegedly told them that the bodies were there. They immediately sent drones. The drones were there at 4:15 p.m. And I'm assuming by 4:30 they had already saw the sheet and out in the field and such as that with the drones. And then this guy was contacted at 4:30. So, in my mind's eye, that makes me wonder who else knew where the bodies were taken and disposed of. By this time, the only other person, well, they had talked to a couple. They had talked to, I believe, Troy McCoy. And of course, this is the day that the mistress, Nicole, contacted them. I'm not sure what time she contacted them exactly. I don't know. But I do know that a lot of things happened on August 15th at 8 a.m. and a dark hoe sent over the emails that they found between Chris and Nicole. Chris picked his dad up at the airport that morning. I think it was around 11 a.m. They left there and went straight to the police office where Chris had a interview before, a pretty lengthy interview before the polygraph. And then, of course, he had the polygraph. And then, after the polygraph, he had a pretty lengthy interview as well. That is when he finally, gave his first confession after the polygraph and after they had sat and talked to him and tried to get him to admit. We also know that his dad was with him at the police department. He was also being questioned and interviewed at the same time Chris was in a different room. But the thing I'm getting at here is Nicole actually called them sometime between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. on August the 15th. I don't know when, but she did call them, and she did set up a meeting with them at the park. Her and her dad and her dog met FBI agents at the park because she wanted to give them information. Now, Rourke says that Nicole actually gave them bombshell information, and without her, he don't think he could have cracked this case as quick as he did. I've listened to all of her interviews. I've read all of her transcripts. I have heard it all, everything from her. I've yet to find anything that we have access to that seems anything bombshell. A lot of people says that her bombshell information was that she was the mistress, and that gave a motive. Okay, Rourke himself said he believes they found a partial motive. So obviously, he himself never ruled her as the main motive. So that couldn't be the bombshell, right? So what was the bombshell information? How did they allegedly know that the missing person had been taken to and disposed of at Survey 319 before 4:30 p.m. August 15th? Actually, it was before 4:15 because the drones were there at 4:15. A lot of people think it's because, well, the GPS on his truck, it showed that is exactly where he went that morning. And there's no other way that Shanann and the kids could have left the house. There's just no other way. Everything was locked. Okay, what about the garage door? They saw the alerts on both Chris and Shanann's phone that the garage door was left open when Chris left for work that morning at 5:45. Also, it shows where the garage door shut back down at 12:42. A lot of people say, why? Was it an interior door or was it the actual garage door? Well, it doesn't actually specify either one. In the discovery, it just says garage door. However, Detective Falbo did do a test, and he opened the garage door, and he sort of ran and went out of it. He wanted to do that test just to see if he would have time to get out that garage door before it shut all the way down, and he did. Easily. No problem. So if it was referring to the interior garage door, why would he have done that test? I fully believe it was the exterior garage door that the alerts were for. It also says that, and Nicole said this, that the garage door was shut when she got there. A lot of people says, well, she was there before 12:42. I don't know. I could not say. I do not know. I know what the discovery says, and it says she called at 1:30. Whether she was there at 12:42, I don't know. But here's the kicker. If the garage door was open when she got there, then wouldn't you think she would have went in the garage and looked around, opened the garage herself and looked around, and even told Miss Rusek or anyone she was on the phone with, well, the garage door's open, I'm in here, or even told on the 911 call. And a lot of people thinks no, she wouldn't have told that because she wouldn't have wanted it to seem like she was snooping. Well, I beg to differ. I mean, that's her best friend. She's already made this report. She had just saw her that morning, and so I kind of beg to differ. I don't know. Either way, if Nicole closed it, I believe she would have said she closed it. It also says that they saw there was no car seats in the back of the Lexus when they were there, because her son, I think it said her son actually got up on the back of her car and looked through the small windows in the garage into the Lexus, and the car seats were still in the car. Yeah, the car seats were there. Okay, here's my question, and no, I have never been to this house, ever. But I do question that, because I have saw the house in pictures many, many, many times. And the windows are very high up on the garage. They really are. They're very high up. They're very small. And they also, from the pictures I see, the windows also appear to be tinted. Okay, and I also believe that in Shanann's Lexus, the back window is also slightly tinted. It would have been dark in the garage, I would assume. How could he have actually seen through that window? And I don't know how tall he is, but he would have to be pretty tall, even on top of a car. I don't know how tall he is. I'm just saying, how could he have saw through that small window and through all the tents if the car seats were in there? Now, maybe he did, and I'm not saying he didn't because that was said. But that would be hard to do, in my opinion. And I believe him. I mean, I have no reason not to, because it was true. The car seats were there. The car was there. Everything to the such. Everything he said was as he said it was. So, I don't know. My question is, how did they know at 4:30 p.m. to go ahead and send forensics out to Survey 319 when Chris had not yet even finished his polygraph? That is what I want to know. We know that they already had photos, and they had already brought them to Chris and said, and they already knew where Shanann was, I fully believe. They just wanted to know, or confirm, one of the two, where the kids were. Because obviously, you couldn't see them with the drones. They either wanted to know, or they wanted to confirm. It goes on to say, on Monday, August the 20th, Maloney requested I respond to 241 Oak Street in Frederick, Colorado to assist with processing of 2 vehicles that belonged to the suspect in the case. The vehicles potentially had been used in transporting the deceased bodies of the 3 victims from the residence. Scene investigation, 2825 Saratoga Trail. Upon my arrival at the residence at 5:45 a.m., I met with Frederick Police Department Detective Baumover and Officers Walgie and Perez. According to Baumover, the house had been searched with the consent of the owner, Christopher Watts, on at least 3 different occasions. These searches were conducted by members of Frederick Police Department and included canine searches from cadaver dogs. Baumover also stated the owner, husband and father of the missing woman and children, Chris Watts, had given consent to collect any and all evidence that police could use to locate his missing family. Chris also stated to Detective Baumover the home could be processed with forensic methods to obtain evidence relating to his family's disappearance. Detective Baumhofer and I agreed that I would photograph the residence, utilize Blue Star latent bloodstain reagent on areas alerted on by the canines, and then assist with the collection of any evidence located in the residence. I was agreed upon that CBI would not collect the evidence. Frederick Police Department would collect and package all evidence located in the search. According to Detective Baumhofer, Chris Watts had been living in and assisting the home prior to and since the disappearance of his family on Monday. The neighborhood and home is located within a newer residential area consisting of large single-family homes. 2825 Saratoga Trail is a two-story single-family residence located on the south side of the street with the front doors facing north towards Saratoga Trail. The home has 5 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms with office space, an unfinished basement, and a 3-car garage. Upon entering the front door, there is a living room and dining room. To the left is a staircase that leads to the upstairs bedrooms, laundry, and loft area. Near the staircase that leads upstairs is a hallway that runs to the east side of the house. The hallway provides access to the basement stairs, a bathroom, utility room, garage entrance, and an office. On the south side of the residence is a full kitchen, eating area, and additional playroom. A door on the south side of the kitchen opens to the backyard of the home. The upstairs portion of the home consists of 3 bedrooms, a playroom, laundry room, and a central living and television room. The home is in like-new condition with no visible signs of damage and was clean and organized. A walkthrough of the home showed no signs of forced entry at all. Basement and first floor windows. No doors appeared to have been forced or damaged. Scene processing. Photos were taken of the scene. Blue Star latent blood reagent was applied to all bathroom fixtures, tub, shower, sink, and toilet, which resulted in no signs of chemiluminescence. Blue Star was also applied at the locations where the searching canines had alerted: mudroom by the garage and at the top of the basement stairs in the hallway to the mudroom. No signs were observed in these areas as well. Prior to testing, positive and negative presumptive tests were done with expected results. While assisting with the search of the home, I observed in the kitchen trash bed sheets and pillowcases. The sheets and pillowcases were grayish in color with numerous small light blue, light green or lavender colored squares on the sheets. The bedding was buried beneath other items of trash. Further examination showed the sheet to be a flat sheet and 3 matching pillowcases. Stains were observed on the sheets and pillowcases. The bedding from the kitchen trash was collected by Frederick Police Department. Throughout the home, several electronic items and clothing were located and collected by Frederick Police Department. CBI cleared the scene on Saratoga Trail at 10:45 a.m. on August 15, 2018. No evidence was collected by CBI. Scene investigation, Anadarko property. Upon arriving at the Anadarko well site property in Rogan, Colorado at 18:20 hours on Wednesday, August the 15th, 2018, and that would be 6:20 p.m. Wednesday, August the 15th. That is when these people arrived at Anadarko. Several members of the Frederick and Firestone Police Department were already on scene. CBI investigators Saylor and Center were present, along with several employees of the Anadarko Company. I learned that CBI and Frederick Police Department investigators had utilized the GPS tracking system with Chris Watts' work truck to identify the routes Watts had taken the morning the victims had been reported missing. GPS tracking identified the truck driven by Watts to have traveled to the well site we were currently at. And see, I still do not understand why it was so, the investigations and everyone was so adamant that the only way Shanann could have left that house was through the front door, or through the garage, the garage or the front door. And the only way she could have left was Chris, because Nate's camera picked no one else coming up to the home. I'm assuming there was nothing else saw on the doorbell camera, because the only footage of the doorbell camera we see at all is when Shanann came home. We don't even see when Nicole was there. We don't see when Coonrod was there. We see none of that. The only footage whatsoever from the doorbell camera is Shanann getting home at 1:48 a.m. Coonrod specifically said when he was watching the footage with Chris and Nate, although Chris looks very nervous and very fidgety and with his hands on his head and all that stuff, he does look that, I can say that 100%. But Coonrod said there's nothing there. He did say that. And Nate said, yeah, there's nothing. And then, of course, later, it comes up about the shadows under the truck that 90% of the people believe was one of the kids. I myself am still undecided if that is a child's shadow or maybe Dieter's shadow. I don't know. The babysitter's mother, when she did make the comment that Dieter does run out the door to follow, when someone leaves, I don't know. I'm not gonna make that call if it's the child or the dog. I don't know. I really am 50-50 on that shadow. I do not know. But my question is, and Chris said this several times, there's no cameras in the back. So my question is, could she have went out the back door? Or could she have been taken out the back door? I mean, it's possible, right? Or the basement or something to that effect. I'm not saying that. I'm not throwing conspiracies, but it's obvious there is more than one way in and out of the house. The garage door was left open when he left, and then it was closed at 12:42. Now, I'm just saying, and I'm not throwing a conspiracy, I'm going straight off of the facts. My belief is, yeah, she probably did leave. Obviously, I think, when Chris left that morning. That is, I do believe that. However, why did the police and everyone within 24 hours completely rule out that there is no other way she could have left the house except in his truck, when Coonrod had already said, there's nothing in this video. We're watching him get his truck ready, pack his truck, all this and that, and he leaves. Although he is acting awfully odd, and the whole swing back and forth, there's really nothing on this video that's helping us. Now, I do understand that Miss Rusek did tell them to check his GPS because, it has it on there, and, that would pretty much lead them to where they were. Or that's, that was her mind's eye, mother instinct feeling, or whatever. But still, there should have been other possibilities looked into just a bit more, especially with the dog hitting in the basement. And that being really the only hit. Now, even though the other dog did not confirm the hit, and the hit was not substantiated, at the same time, there is that possibility. Why would that dog have hit there, right? there was some reason it hid there. So, the Anadarko Company, as well as the owner of Survey Ranch, had provided written consent for law enforcement to search the property identified by the GPS tracking system in the truck owned by Anadarko. Agents Seller and Zenter informed me that members of the Firestone Police Department had utilized a drone to fly over the Anadarko property in Rogan. While the drone was in use, a video feed from the drone showed a sheet on the ground within the fenced area of the Anadarko leased land. The sheet had been compared to the photo I had sent to Agent Saylor earlier in the day when the sheets had been discovered in the kitchen trash at the home on Saratoga Trail. According to the investigators on scene, the sheets' colors and patterns were consistent with one another. Investigators on scene also stated that from the video taken from the drone, an area void of vegetation had been located and appeared to have recently been disturbed. Anadarko employees stated that there was no plausible reason for the disturbance on the land. The disturbed area shared common characteristics consistent with a possible gravesite. It was decided that once the warrant had been signed for the property, CBI would begin the collection of the evidence located around the scene and then begin the excavation of the possible gravesite. CBI would then conduct more extensive, intrusive searches for any additional evidence that could be located within the scene. Maloney and forensic scientist Schroeder arrived to assist with processing the scene at approximately 2000 hours, and that would be 8 p.m. The Anadarko property is leased property within the Survey Ranch, which is a 35,000-acre cattle ranch located in southeastern Weld County, Colorado. The leased property, known as Oil Tank Field Survey 319, GPS coordinates north of the town of Rogan, is used for the extraction, collection, and storage of raw crude oil from local oil wells and pumps. The Anadarko well site is located approximately 9 miles north of Rogan, Colorado, along dirt roads and dirt 2-track trails. The site itself is a 3 to 4 acre property fenced with barbed wire and secured by a locked gate on the west end. The topography and geofeatures consist of sandy, dry soil with sparse native vegetation and dry pasture rangeland for livestock. No structures other than oil collection tanks, pumping equipment, and agricultural infrastructure are visible in any direction for several miles. Within the fenced area were 2 large tanks approximately 20 feet in height and 12 feet in diameter, each tank equipped to hold approximately 400 barrels of crude oil, which is 16,800 gallons. Also within the site was a wellhead, pumping facilities, waste collection, and ventilating pressurization equipment. Within the site, numerous safety precautions and procedures are in place due to the toxic vapors of the crude oil and gas. Anadarko, Day 1, August the 15th, 2018. At the site, numerous vehicles were parked within the fenced perimeter. Due to diminishing daylight, auxiliary lighting was brought in to the scene by Anadarko. Located to the south and east of the wellhead was an area that appeared to have been recently excavated and filled back in. The area appeared to be approximately 8 feet by 14 feet in diameter. Living foliage was observed partially buried on and under the uneven ground. Once the search warrant for the property had been confirmed to have been signed, a more thorough search of the property was done. Items of evidence located were collected and packaged by myself and F.S. Schrader, scene processing. Photos were taken of the scene with and without markers. Measurements were taken through the use of global positioning, GPS, polar coordinates, and a laser measuring device. Blue Star latent blood reagent was applied to the thief hatch, and each tank, after positive and negative presumptive tests of the reagent had been done with expectant results. Nothing was observed on either tank or the catwalk connecting the tanks. On the north edge of the excavated plot was a rusted rake head. The rake head had been placed with the handle attachment portion buried into the ground. To the east of the plot was a wooden tool handle, as well as a piece of metal that was consistent with connecting a rake head to a rake handle. On the property were 2 black plastic bags. One bag was located to the west of the excavated plot, while the bag was located to the south. To the south of the black plastic bag was a bed sheet. The sheet was fitted sheet consistent with the same patterns and colors of the sheet observed in the kitchen trash at the home on Saratoga Trail. As the search of the site continued, I observed several strands of suspected hair attached to the interior flange of the top hatch, the thief hatch. On the eastern side, most crude oil storage tank. After the collection of the visible evidence, Maloney and I began the excavation of the suspected gravesite. Approximately 9 inches below the surface grade, Maloney and I located the adult female victim believed to be Shanann Watts. So see, many people do say that when Shanann was found, her bottom was actually sticking above where the hole was. Well, that is not true. As you see here, she was completely covered with dirt. It was like 9 inches, not that much, not even a foot, but 9 inches. They moved the dirt and then they seen her. So it was a very shallow grave, but she was covered with earth dirt, according to this report. The victim was in a fetal position with her knees pulled up to her chest at the bottom of the grave and her feet directed up towards the top of the grave. Now, I can't remember who it was, but I have said this before, and I have been told I'm wrong, that there's no way she could have been in a fetal position, because if she was in a fetal position, she would have been on her side. That is not true. You can make a fetal position on your side. You can even put yourself in a fetal position awkwardly on your back. A fetal position is simply the knees drawn to the chest or drawn upwards, and that's what it is. So I can't remember who told me that, and he was trying to tell me I was so very wrong that there's no way she could have been in a fetal position. Well, her chest and face primarily was facing down into the ground, while her back was oriented up. Her head was towards the west, while her feet were towards the east. Her left arm was extended to the east alongside of her head. The victim was wearing a blue pair of underwear and a light-colored shirt. The depth of the grave when the body was removed was approximately 27 inches in depth. So you got to think 12 inches is 1 foot. 24 inches is 2 feet. 27 inches is only 2 feet, 3 inches. So that's how deep the shallow grave was. 2 feet, 3 inches. The Weld County coroner took possession of the victim at 00:20 hours. And that would be 12:20 a.m. on Thursday, August the 16th, 2018. All items of evidence collected at the Anadarko site on Wednesday, August the 15th, were transferred to Detective Baumhofer at 12:39 a.m. on Thursday, August the 16th, 2018. CBI remained on scene throughout the night as part of scene security. Anadarko, Day 2, August the 16th, 2018. Okay, we're going to stop right here because this turned into a very lengthy video. This part 23. But there was just not really a good stopping point. So I am going to stop this one here. And when we come back on part 24, we will be going into the Anadarko Day 2, August the 16th, 2018. Thank you all for listening. I do hope you learned something new. I hope you found some thoughts to ponder. I would really appreciate a thumbs up, share this video, like this video, and until next time, this is UnJustified.